Welcome to our color wheel eye project. So we are going to be making a color wheel that is the iris of an eye. And so we're going to start by doing that, by making the color wheel, making the pupil, and then later we're actually going to cut those out and glue them to an eye we've drawn separately. And I'm going to walk you through drawing the eye, so don't think like, oh my gosh, that's too hard, I don't know how to draw an eye. We're going to practice that together and we're going to work on that together. But first, we're going to start here in the center with the iris and the pupil. So you should have two circles on your paper. The smaller one is for the pupil and the big one is for the iris, where we're going to make our color wheel. So you want to start by finding the center of your circle and making a dot there. So just kind of take a second and try to figure out where is the center and go ahead and draw a dot there. Now you want to draw a line down from the top to that center. It's like the radius of the circle. You're going to try to make it nice and straight. You can always draw nice and light so that you can erase it out later if it's not. I'm going to kind of make mine kind of dark because I want you to be able to see it on the video and see it well. So we should have that. Next, we are going to try to divide this into essentially 3 equal pieces. So is this piece equal to this piece? Not quite. How about now? Something like that. Looks pretty good. So I'm going to try to kind of remember where that was and draw that out there. So it's almost like a peace sign. So go ahead and do that. Now we're going to divide our peace sign in half. Each of these pieces in half again. So basically you can think of it as extending these straight lines. So now we have this lovely pizza or pie here. And you can see mine is not perfectly equal. Like this piece is not as big as some of the other pieces. That's okay. We're not trying to make it perfect. But we are going to divide it one more time because if you take a look at the iris, I have actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 parts to this, 12 pieces to my color wheel. And right now we just have 6. So we need to divide those in half again. So I kind of look here and think, okay, that's about half, and then bring it to the center. That's how I do it. And you did it. You should have 12 pieces to your future eye. We're not done with our pencil just yet though, because what we're going to do is we're going to take a minute and label all of these colors. So we're going to start with, so this was our first line right here at the top, right? This is our top. We're going to start to the right of that with one of the primaries. So we're going to start with red. So just put an R there. None of this is going to show later, but this is just to make sure you don't miss anything. And the next one is going to be red-orange. So put R-O. Then we'll have orange, O. Then you will make orange-yellow. Then you will have yellow. Then yellow-green. Then green, green-blue, blue, and the next one's going to be either blue-purple or blue-violet. I guess I'll go with BP for blue-purple, then purple, and then purple-red. Violet and purple really are the same. All right, so we want to label these to make sure we don't miss anything, make any mistakes, and once you have that done, then you are done and ready to begin mixing colors. First thing you're going to do is paint the 3 primary colors in. So you have these 3 watercolors. You're going to just put a little bit of water on them. So I have a cup of water here. I'm going to just drop a little bit in there so that it's moving around. I don't want to ever push into my paint. I just want to pick a little bit of it up. I want to make sure my water becomes yellowish. By being really gentle, I'm never pressing, I'm never scooping. Mostly it's very much like watercolor is. And now I just got yellow, so I'm going to paint in the triangle that says yellow. The important thing to remember here is that watercolor wants to mix, and it kind of likes to sit on top of the paper. So it could very easily mix with any color I paint right next to it. So if I went from yellow to making yellow orange or yellow green, they might start to bleed together. So I have to be kind of slow in my painting, but won't matter right now because we're just doing the primaries and they're not next to each other. So I'm going to pause and do my red and blue. Okay, so for the purpose of demonstrating on this video, I am going to just show you how to color mix the secondary and then what we call the tertiary colors or intermediate colors. We're going to try those out just one section, and then you'll basically repeat this process for the other sections as well. And since I was pointing to red and yellow, let's use red and yellow. I have 3 basic colors, right? I need to make a red orange, an orange, and an orange yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put 3 areas of like water down. And I know my water looks a little bit blue, and that's because I was just mixing blue, but it won't matter. Actually, it's probably good for the video because then you can definitely see it. So I've got 3 drops of water there, and then I can begin to add in my paint. I'm going to start with yellow. Red is a very strong color, so I'm going to be careful not to add too much red. But I'm going to start with yellow, and I want this to be the most yellow. Basically, I'm going from red, yellow, orange. I'm sorry, red, orange, orange, and yellow, orange. So lots of yellow in here, medium amount in here, and just a little bit over in here. You can't really tell the difference between them, even not on the video right now, but I know that I didn't touch those as much with the paint. So now I'm going to grab some of this red, and again, I'm not pushing down, I'm just barely touching it with a wet brush. I had gotten wet before that. So I'm going to put, well, just a touch here, because this is going to be the most yellow. Then a medium amount here. Like I said, red is pretty strong, so I don't want to add too much. All right, so now I'm going to try mixing these and see what I get. I'm actually going to go ahead and rinse my brush out again so I don't accidentally make something too red. Okay, I think I'll start here and see if I get sort of a yellow-orange. That looks good. And here, an orange. It could be a little bit redder. Maybe we'll just put a touch more red in there. That looks like a little better of an orange. And then this one, that looks definitely redder than the last one. But I still added a tiny bit more. Okay, so then I can go in here and paint. But remember what I said about the paint bleeding together. And I can see that my red is still very shiny, so that's probably the wettest one. So I'm going to start here with yellow-orange. Again, I rinsed my brush out. I'm going to dry it off. I'm going to get this yellow-orange here. Doesn't look very orange compared to my yellow, so maybe I actually need a touch, tiny bit more red. Uh-oh. Look what happened. I made it too orange, so I'm not going to put that on my paper, and this is why I'm mixing it over here. I'm going to instead mix it right here. And I usually dip back into my water also to not contaminate this paint. Okay, that looks better. And now I can go in here and make my yellow-orange on this paper and go ahead and paint it. If I paint my orange right now, they're going to bleed together. This paint is not soaked. Even though this is a drawing paper and not watercolor paper, there's lots of paint sitting on top. If I paint this one right now, they're going to bleed together and it's not going to look nice and it's going to frustrate me. So I'm going to let that sit and dry for a minute. I could probably come over and paint this one because that red's probably not too wet. Okay, so I'm going to get my red orange and start putting that on my paper. And I would wait a minute before I paint my orange, but you're going to basically repeat this process for all of the sections. You're going to make 3 little circles for the blue and the red to make your purples. You're going to make 3 circles for your, or drops of water for your blue and your yellow to make all your greens. And then, and you're going to go nice and slow and let them mostly dry before you paint it. Now, if you do paint and they do mix together, what's going to happen? Well, let's see if it happens. Then I can kind of show you what you might do to fix it. So I'm going in there with my orange, even though I know my colors next to it are not dry. And it can take a second, but it is starting to, they are starting to kind of bleed together. Not as bad as I had thought. So you can see some of this orange is going into the red orange, and some of this yellow is coming over here. What I would do is just, I would take my brush, I would clean it off, squeeze it out with my finger so it's pretty dry, and then I would scoop up any paint I don't want in there. Like, get out of there, paint. And then I could always go back after that's drier with more orange over that spot that's kind of light. And same thing there. Okay, if another thing you could do while you're waiting for spots to dry is work on your iris. So I want a couple, you know, spots, and that's gonna be, you know, where the light hits it and is shining off the eye, and then I can color all the rest in black. So you can be doing that while you're waiting for some colors to dry in between painting too, just to give you something else to do. But you're gonna basically end up with this being completely colored in black except for a couple spots like this one and a whole entire color wheel when you're done.